right, 3.3 part 2. We're going to discuss examples 2, 3, and 4 here. Make sure that you're adding any extra little notes that you need as we are working through this one. I'm only going to redo this first example here with you. So that should be enough for you guys to go through and get a better understanding of determining how a graph is opening, finding the vertex, the axis of symmetry, the x and y intercepts, and then using all that to create a graph. And then from the graph, determining domain and range. So that stuff should hopefully not be so bad. The increasing, decreasing might be a little bit tough at first, but take whatever notes you need to, and then any questions you have, please make sure you are ready with some in class if you have any that you need to ask. So to determine whether a graph opens up or down, you are looking at the front value, your A, which will tell you if it's up or down. If it's positive, it opens up. If it's negative, it is going to open down. Since this is positive, it's going to open up. Then it says we need to find the vertex. So to find the vertex, we are going to use the x equals negative b over 2a. And then we are going to plug that value in to find the y. So x equals negative b over 2a. Your a is 1 and your b is 2. So negative 2 over 2 times 1, which is negative 2 over 2, negative 1. Now you're going to take that negative 1 and you're going to plug it in to find y. So negative 1 squared plus 2 times negative 1. This is positive 1 plus negative 2, which will end up giving us negative 2. So your vertex, x value of negative 1, and when you plug that in, you got negative 2. Then it says axis of symmetry. Your axis of symmetry, you've already found that. Your AOS, that I abbreviated so I don't have to write it out all the time, your axis of symmetry is negative 1. But when you are writing the answer for your axis of symmetry, I want you to actually use the equation x equals negative 1, because it is an invisible vertical line that is running through your parabola. So make sure that when if I am ever asking you on a quiz, on a test, you understand that it is x equals whatever the value is. Okay, make sure you write it as an equation. And then your x and your y intercepts. To find your x and your y intercepts, you're going to go back and you're going to use your equation. So to find your x intercept and your y intercept, when you're looking at a quadratic equation, your y-intercept is always the last value. It is the constant. Since our equation is y equals x squared plus 2x, there is no value here, so your y-intercept would end up being 0. There's your y-intercept. Now, to find the x-intercept, unfortunately, and I know you guys hate doing this, to find your x-intercept, you will actually have to factor all quadratics. You can factor them, you factor them. You can't factor them, you got to use the quadratic formula. That works all the time. So you guys can use that if you guys are not so comfortable with the factoring. When I'm looking at this and I see the x squared plus 2x, we need to recognize that there's an x in each of these. So I'm going to factor out an x, and I'm left with an x plus 2. Now you set each of those equal to 0. This first one, x equals 0, is done. This second one, becomes negative 2. So your x-intercepts are 0, 0, and negative 2, 0. So we've now found the vertex, we found the axis of symmetry, we have found the x and y intercepts, and now we are ready to graph. So to graph this, I'm going to start with my vertex, which is negative 1, negative 2. Through your vertex is your invisible axis of symmetry. From there, I'm going to graph my intercepts. So I have an intercept of 0, 0. I have an intercept of negative 2, 0. And I have an intercept of 0, 0, which I've already graphed. And I have enough with just those 3 points to make my parabola. So hopefully you guys, that shouldn't be too bad after example 1. Now in the next part, you guys have to find domain and range. Domain for all parabolas, you guys, for every single one of them. They are going left, they're going right. Your domain is always negative infinity to infinity. Now your range. When your graph opens up, it will start with the y value of your vertex. The y value of your vertex here is negative 2. And because it goes up, it's going to infinity. So you might want to add a note here that this is your y value from the vertex. It actually will probably help you a lot because there will be questions where you're asked to find the domain and the range, but you're not going to want to graph everything. You're not going to want to go through this whole process. So just understand the range comes from the y value of your vertex, the domain, negative infinity to infinity. Now the last piece is where is the function increasing and decreasing. To do that, you need to understand that there are 2 parts to your graph. If I look on the left side and you read a graph from left to right, I understand that both arrows are going up, so we think that this is increasing the whole time, but it's not. If you start on the left side, you're actually going down first. Then when you hit your vertex, you're going back up. So this side is decreasing. The left side decreases, the right side is increasing. We're going up. So when it is wanting us to identify this, we actually need to use the x values. So decreasing, it's coming from the left side, so that's negative infinity. And then it's going, and make sure you remember you have to use the x value. It is going to negative 1. It is neither increasing nor decreasing. That is your point of inflection. So it gets a parentheses. Then it starts back up at negative 1 and it is going to infinity. So increasing and decreasing is the x value of your vertex. Might want to write that down. All right, so that was it for example 2. Now I'm going to move on to 3. I know this is getting kind of long, and if you don't need stuff, you can fast forward it. I will probably I think I'm going to do B here. I don't think I'm going to do A. I think I'll go ahead and work through B. When it says determine the quadratic function, the equation that you guys are going to need to use is your y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. So we're using vertex form. The reason we're going to use vertex form is because we're given vertex. Your vertex is hk. And then you're given a random point. That point is xy. So you're going to plug those in. So y was 5. A is the one you don't have. That's what we're going to find first. X is 3 minus h. H is 1 squared plus k. K is negative 3. So now I just need to use my order of operations, go through and solve this for a first. So this is 2 squared, and then it's minus 3. I'm going to add 3 over. So I have 8 equals. Now 2 squared is 4. So you might need to make a note of that if that's something that you might struggle with. And then when I divide, a equals 2. So now I'm going to take my a and when I write my equation, you are only going to plug back in for h and k. Those are the only values that you plug back in. Your a is 2. X minus, what did we plug in for h? 1. What did we plug in for k? -3. So there's our equation. So hopefully, and that one's not too bad. Just know you got to find a first. That's the first thing you have to do. You must find a. All right, example 4, last one. I think for this one, I'll go ahead and do b. I see that this is a -3x squared, so it opens down. Hopefully you were able to fill in that blank. Because it opens down, let's think about it. Is it going to have a maximum or if it's going to have a minimum? So if you're kind of stuck on that, draw your parabola that is opening down. And go ahead and do that. So I draw a downward facing parabola. And I'm looking at the vertex. Here, my vertex is at the top of the graph. That makes this a maximum. Now we need to find it. To find that maximum value, you do need to find x first. So we need to find the x coordinate of the vertex. So it's -12 over 2 times -3. So -12 over -6 is 2. Now that I have the x value, I'm almost halfway there. Now we just plug that in to find y. So -3 times 2 squared plus 12 times 2 plus 1. Please make sure we remember you have to do the 2 squared first order of operations. So I have -3 times 4, which is -12. 12 times 2 is 24. And then I have plus 1. That gives us 12 plus 1 is 13. So you have a max of 13 at 2. So hopefully that's enough for you guys to get through this. And again, if you have more questions, write them down. Come and see me before school or at lunch. Or make sure you remember to ask me in class. All right. See you later.